Should I have volume? Yep. All right, volume check seems good. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're having a good Criterion flash sale kind of day, or if you're seeing the replay, you'll have to let me know what you've picked up. I love the flash sale. I think it's very important that we have this. It helps a lot of folks, and myself included, get access to some of the best films ever made, or some of the most important, or sometimes the campiest, and we all enjoy those. So as I go throughout, I'm going to go through, talk about what I picked up. Some of you, no doubt, have some good picks. I didn't get a whole lot in this sale for a few different reasons. My last sale was pretty big, but if you're interested, I do have a ton of videos, like Barnes& Noble half-off sales. I have Criterion flash sales. Like, I make those videos about every sale. That way people can catch different ideas. Oh. Got it. Okay. So here's what I picked up. I actually ordered this. I think I ordered it right at like 12:02. I want to say it was 12:02. I have been watching a lot of Louis Buñuel lately, or feels like a lot. I have really taken a liking to this director. So what I did was I can pick this up. This is old, and I have never picked it up before. 3 films by Louis Buñuel, and I have seen The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. More than 4 decades after he took a razor blade to an eyeball and shocked the world. I've never watched that. That is like 20 minutes long, and I've never watched that. I'm gonna do that like today. I'm gonna go and watch that. Anyway, the iconoclast Louis Buñuel kept his astonishing career with these films here. Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, which I'll talk about in a future video. I will be talking about that film because that film is great. The Phantom of Liberty, which I haven't seen, and that obscure Object of Desire, which I haven't seen, in which his renegade free association surrealism reached its audacious, self-detonating endgame. And I love how this director plays around with reality. I think it's fresh. I think it's stood the test of time. Different directors have different ways of going about that, but I think his way, it's just so simple and so believable. All right, working with such key collaborators as these screenwriters. I don't know a whole lot about that. He has scathing attacks on religion, class pretension, moral hypocrisy, with savage violence to create a trio of subversive, brutally funny masterpieces. And these explore the randomness, the absurd randomness of existence. And I think I like that about his films. I have noticed how things can feel purposefully random in his films. I talked a good bit recently about Belle de Jour in one of my videos. Another film eventually I want to get a copy of, but I don't have a copy of it yet. Among the director's most radical works, as well as some of his greatest international triumphs. So you can see up there, if you're looking at it live, or if you look at the replay, you can kind of see how it ticks down. The flash sale does only last 24 hours every time that they put it out. But worth noting, as you go through this, you eventually do get some credit back from them. And if you're a Criterion channel watcher, I don't know if they do it every time, but they will mail you out like a $10 coupon in your inbox. So I applied a $10 credit to the stuff I got today. You can just put it, you get to put it, like, you can copy and paste it and put it before you check out, which is nice. I would imagine that by now a lot of stuff has been cleared out, but that is what that is. I almost got Killers of the Flower Moon, but I think I'm gonna wait to find that somewhere because it's just such an ordeal to go through that. That is one that some of you might have picked up. That's one I wonder. So just to talk about that briefly. That was a thought I had. This sale came a little bit later, and I think it probably had something to do with this, because this just came out today, and I kind of wonder if them getting the rights from whoever had it didn't have to do with some kind of deal like that. just a speculation, but this came out. It's a good movie. Lily Gladstone in it. Worth noting that Lily Gladstone is also in Some Women. You should definitely take a look at Some Women, that film. I've talked about that on the channel before. She was really good in that. But I did not get this yet. Maybe I should have. But I did not end up getting this. So this is something that is available. All right. Stop sharing here for a moment. Other stuff. Let's see. So hard to tell who is bouncing in and out as we work. Something worth pointing out here while the stream is up. I did a full video of this, but I just want to, and I'm going to eventually get a copy of this. I just didn't this time, like I said, because I just watched it. But I really, if anybody if you watch the replay, whatever, I'm really encouraging you to pick up this film at some point, even if it's not this cell. I would have picked it up in the cell, but like I said, I just watched it, so it was less, pressing. But Testament is a film about a series of nuclear attacks and this small community that reacts to that and the fallout of that. But it's not like a big flashy film. So I did a full review of this where I really broke this film down. But here was my letterbox review that's kind of more succinct. Sometime after AI, corporate greed, grifting opportunists, and a slew of first world dictators have utterly destroyed what remains of our ever shrinking societal pleasantries, Testament will be the film that predicted the future almost perfectly. And I think that's where that's going to be the case. Like, this to me is where society is headed, but people might disagree. This story is all about the fallout of people trying to live their miserable lives after a series of nuclear bombs. But the inciting event, or the bombs going off, that could have been almost any number of widespread misfortunes. And I said, and I really believe this, what we have here is much more striking and thoughtful than, say, Contagion or similar films. So it's not an exciting action adventure film. It's a slow, pensive film. I said that the film will be impossible for many to watch because it's too close for comfort, too accurate, too darn real. It's too bad, and this is the only thing I didn't like about the film. It's too bad the film had a soundtrack because it's just not good. I don't think it's good. For fans of the short story The Birds, which was adapted by Hitchcock without the same bite and candor, this will be a godsend. I talked about that more in the review. So if you happen to see this before you check out and you want to try out Testament, it's about an hour and a half. It's a real misery of an hour and a half. It's really tough. And I had heard that, I'd heard people say that, well, it's going to be tough to watch more than once. I actually want to watch it again. Like I want to go back and kind of really go through all of the little pieces, all the little foreshadowing. Like, it's a really well made film. And so I'm looking forward to watching it again, as much as I'm not looking forward to watching it again, because it is a depressing film, but it's a good one. So consider this. If you want to look more into this, I have a full review as well that I did, because I know I thought it was a relatively recent release. Maybe it's not. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. Let's see when it came out. If you go to the flash sale screen, it's got I think that's Harold Lloyd or whatever his name is from Safety Last climbing the clock tower. So Testament came out I guess a while ago, but there's quite a bit here. This is one I like. Even just talking about it, I almost wish I had gotten it, but I'm hoping that I can find it. I might even get it like this summer in the Barnes and Noble sale, because it's really, really good. I really like this film. But if any of you bought this, let me know. Another one that I didn't buy that I thought about buying, but it was too close to when I had just watched it, that I have talked about before, This is another one I will probably get at some point. This follows two sets of kind of couples, and they're both deaf. These women are both deaf. They're living in Chicago, and it's an amazing story. But you should check out my review on that. And this movie really celebrates Black culture in such an awesome way, and music, and it's just such a great film. I actually emailed the director. She's a professor now, and she was so nice to me in my email response. It was really cool to be able to hear back. I think this film is brilliant, and I just love this film. So that's something I almost got as well. But like I said, I just watched it relatively recently, so I'll probably wait for a feature sell. So there's a couple of things. But the other things I got in this sell that I thought were nice. Let's see. I've been talking about getting this, and I finally. This is not a blind buy. This is a film I have seen before that I want to kind of dive into a little bit more in one of my videos, or I don't know. This seems like a really important film for me to own. I've just never have. So some of you have talked about celebrated Victor Sjostrom. I don't know exactly how the best way to say his name, but if that sounds familiar at all and you don't recognize him as the silent film actor director, you may recognize him from Wild Strawberries, the great Bergman film, where he was an older man in that film. And that's probably how he's best known at this point among film aficionados. But he did, he was in these silent films, these pictures that he worked on. I can't remember how many of them he acted in or directed in. I don't know if I can't remember how often he did both, but this is in my opinion a much improved version of the Christmas Carol story. So the last person to die on New Year's Eve before the clock strikes 12 is doomed to take death's chariot and kind of look for fresh souls for the next year. This is very similar. This is a very similar idea to there's a Johnny Cash song, Ghost Riders in the Sky. If you've ever heard this song, very similar idea. Just like you're eternally trying to gather souls. This man like sees these red-eyed cattle in the sky, and he has to like change his ways, or he's going to have to ride forever. Kind of a searcher's vibe there, certainly. But the Phantom Carriage has Sjostrom. It's based on a novel, and I have not read the novel, and maybe I should now. Concerns an alcoholic, abusive Sjostrom who is shown the error of his ways and tries for redemption. A Dickinson style ghost story, morality tale. I like this better than when I've dealt with the Christmas Carol stories, but if you like the Christmas Carol story, you'll probably like the Phantom Carriage as long as you like silent films. So I picked up this finally. I haven't seen it in a very long time. I'm looking forward to watching it again. The importance of this film that for the average, cinema fan who maybe is not as familiar, this film, there is a scene from this film that directly inspired a key scene in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. So if you're a fan of The Shining, if you're a mega fan of The Shining, this is essential viewing to me because you'll be able to see the scene I'm talking about is worth seeing the whole movie if you really like that film. So The Phantom Carriage. I picked up two more in my sale. And this one is in part because of the Boone Well I've been watching lately. I have become a real fan of Catherine Deneuve. And so she's in this film called The Last Metro. It's a Truffaut film I've never watched that's supposed to be very good. I'm looking forward to this. I don't know the other actor, but they star as members of a theater company and there's a German occupation during World War II, and a Jewish theater manager in hiding, a leading man who's in the resistance. They believe the show must go on. Now, I hadn't even read the description. I just looked at the cast and everything and the director. It sounds like this is going to be, a real favorite for me, but I don't know, I haven't ever seen it, so if you've ever seen The Last Metro, you'll have to let me know. Looks cool. Looks awesome. Alright. And finally, the other film that I got was something that I could not find even, like, a 30% off at Barnes& and Noble. Where'd you go? Yeah, there it is. Okay. I also got The Dead, and I've looked at a little bit of this story, but I'll probably do a deep dive into this at some point. I recently watched The Furies with Walter Houston, and he was great in that. And then here's John Huston's The Dead, that also had Angelica Houston, the last film of John Huston. I've talked recently about The Maltese Falcon. It adapts a short story from his favorite writer, James Joyce. It's a snowy Dublin. The members of an extended family convene for a night of wine, song, and celebration, but it's not until after the festivities that Angelica Houston reveals a secret to her husband that changes things. It says that there are a lot of Irish actors in this. I love the writing of James Joyce. I suspect I will enjoy The Dead. This is on Roger Ebert's great movies list. Those are what I picked up, and a little bit of what I was thinking about picking up. Um, I hope that you all have a good sell, and I hope that you have picked up good things. If you watch the replay and want to share what you picked up, let me know. And if not, we'll see you next time on the channel.